Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of Sip of Sunshine. My name's Kat and I'm your host. I can't believe how quickly 6 months of recording this for you all has gone. And in this episode, I'm joined by our founder Chrissa and our very incredible support coordinator Emma. We are chatting all about the real life impact of school attendance difficulties, intergenerational trauma, and what it's really like being a working mum. So sit back, get comfy, and we'll make a start. Hello, Chrissa and Emma, and welcome to Sip of Sunshine. Welcome back, Chrissa.
Thank you.
Welcome for the first time, Emma. Really excited to have you today. So, as we begin, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do within Sunshine, Emma?
Yes, so I am the support coordinator. I do our lovely inquiry calls. I man our inquiry emails, and I do our lovely cuppa and chats, sometimes with you, Kat, online, and sometimes in our wonderful hub, which I'm sat in right now.
Oh, and you missed out the best bit, which is you always allow me to come and film silly reels with you, which
I do TikToks.
I hugely appreciate. Chrissa nodding as we slip one in over the week.
Absolutely bonkers, you two. Honestly, when I see those things come up on social media, I'm almost a bit like, what are they going to do now? Okay, we're all right. She caught her. It's all good. There's some residues.
There's a blooper where she didn't quite catch me.
That needs to be on social.
That would have been fine. That wouldn't have counted a botch at all in a wrestling.
I love it.
So now we've got that out of the way, and if anyone does want to see the blooper, we do have it available. Just let us know. We'll get started with the actual topics we've got to talk about today. School avoidance. So first up, because I am living this in real time at the moment, let's have a chat about school avoidance and the actual real life impact on families, because people have seen it being talked about from the other side, as in the schools pushing their agendas and everyone being like, oh, you've got to get your child in school. But I know all of us here have absolutely got that experience of waking up in the morning, having your full day planned, and then your little one just not being able to get into school. Chrissa, do you want to tell us how that looks for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think to sort of back up teachers a little bit, which I don't often do, but I'm going to create a little balance here. There's so much pressure on them to tick boxes to get the kids in. And, you know, we hear these horror stories of teachers, bless them, saying, just come in for registration and then they can go again because then we've got the mark on there. That's not helping anybody, by the way, but I totally understand that everybody is under pressure. And I think the people making the decisions on this stuff are not living the real life, whether that's as a parent or a teacher. And I remember seeing a documentary a few years ago now where the children's commissioner at the time, so we've got a different one now, said that she could fix school avoidance. And she went to this household, a neurodivergent household, where the children had a diagnosis of school-based trauma, I think it was. And she said she had a magic wand to fix it. And she goes into this house and she starts cooking bacon. And she's like, you watch, they'll come downstairs now and they'll want to go to school just because I'm cooking bacon. And we're like, are you having a laugh?
Oh, what I'm saying,
so far removed from what is actually going on. And yeah, it's absolutely bonkers. In terms of how it looks, I think that everybody's situation is different, but I think the common theme is that the child is experiencing something.
Yeah.
Whether that's a perceived risk, that school is a risk to them, or whether it's a real risk, we have to validate it. And, you know, just recently in our PDA day, Libby Hill said it doesn't matter if it's just a perceived risk or a perceived danger. We have to validate that with the child. Otherwise, they're forever sitting in shame going, I should be in school, and I know I should be in school, and all my friends are. Why am I such a loser? Why am I not able to get in? Why is it me? Why? And then that has a massive knock-on effect with the parent, because the parent's thinking, oh my God, this is another day where I have to deal with the school. And sometimes your brain is taken away from dealing with a child knowing full well there's other stuff being impacted. You've got other kids to get to school.
Yeah.
You've got to get to work, and it's a much bigger picture. And I think what the government or whoever it is that's making these decisions needs to understand is it's not a simple equation of having a building that you have to get a human into. It's not. That is, a lot of children who speak to us about their school avoidance are saying, but I perceive it as a risk. It's a sensory overload. I don't like the bullying. I can't get on with the teachers. I can't keep up with the communication. I don't understand the rules. I don't like the temperature.
I like food.
The
I
food.
like that a lot. I go all day hungry because I don't like what they've got in the canteen that day.
Exactly. And I think that, we've seen the research. There's a lot of blame involved in this. And I think the most important thing is that we accept where we are. We've got a child who is struggling to go into school. Let's not blame school. Let's not blame home. And certainly let's not blame the child.
Yep.
Work with what we've got. Because Emma, you are living this. You are living it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of changes every day as well. Like, but it's so stressful because we've had everything from running around our house and her hiding from me and crying in corners, and I'm trying so hard I think at first just a battle to understand exactly what, even though actually that battle to understand I knew because I was a school avoider, so actually I got it completely, which I think also made it harder because I was like, yeah, I actually really get why you don't want to go, but it's that battle, then it's school ringing and it's the pressures. I'm a people pleaser. It's working out sort of the fine line of, am I doing the right thing today or am I not? And it is really hard. And like I say, it's that battle of, there's not a massive pressure at Sunshine for me to get to work on time, but I put that pressure on myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's things like that from a parent's side of view. You've got your own pressures, the pressures of worrying about them. And people always say to us, sometimes even on like cuppa and chats, they'll say, when do you know? When do you know that it's the day to keep them off? And
I was just going to say though, like I had school avoidance in sixth form because of illness, right? And there is that. We all have mum guilt anyway, right? But then you've got I know how this feels. Shall I keep them off? Then you flip to, have I just reduced their resilience because I told them, we can just get out of this. This is your get out of jail free card. Shall we just get out of school today? Or should I try and build? Or am I traumatizing them all by sending them in?
Definitely. That's a big one that plays on my brain. I've got my middle child off school. Today they've been off school since yesterday. Will not be going back before the end of term because the school they're at breaks up Friday.
Yep.
And I'm sat here thinking, have I just, because it's made my life easier for the next couple of days to not have that battle in the morning, agreed to the demand that they are placing, just sheerly out of selfish reasons. And then that will make me feel horrendously guilty.
Yeah. And you think it's the end of term.
Yeah.
I now given them not enough positivity to face next term. And, we've got so long before next term. And also, you've mentioned something really valid there, Kat. We have other children. You've got a really big family.
Yeah.
So actually, there's plenty of battles in the morning. Get your shoes on, get your shoes on, get your shoes on. All that.
Yeah.
The gentlest of parent gets to that point, Kat, you're super laid back. You are so laid back. But you've got 5 kids. So actually, yes, having this one that has got this resistance, reluctance, however you want to frame it, and language is important, but it shouldn't bring us away from what is important in the conversation, which is why. Is it something we can fix? And right before the end of term, there is nothing that you can do to fix that environment, and it's not worth your time for 2 days.
Absolutely not. And especially because I know why he's school avoiding at the moment. He's hearing impaired. One of his hearing aids is not quite sitting comfortably. New molds have been ordered. They are not going to be here with the best will in the world before 2 weeks. They've got a backlog at audiology. It's just, so he's sat there uncomfortable, his ears itching. They're asking him to get stuff done still, but not because it's end of term and everything's out of sync a little bit. So I completely understand, and but it still doesn't stop that. But I have made my life a little bit easier by just being like, no, don't go in, it's cool, it's fine.
You're not going to learn anything in the next couple of days. Right?
No.
So, but also, like, I think that not enough people understand these aids, right? So he has his hearing aids. Now, if you've got a neurodivergent child, they will have aids. Now, Emma, for your daughter, her teacher is a real big support. And if he is out of the classroom or he's not able to attend, or for whatever reason, that's her aid. He is her aid. If he's not there, then her wheelchair essentially has been taken away. Her hearing aids have been taken away. And I think sometimes, particularly hearing aids is one of them, because actually it's not that visible, not these days. They used to be great big units, but now they're really, really, can't see them. And with neurodivergence, of course, it's a disability that we can't see and we don't fully understand, because it affects every child differently and every human differently. So nobody quite understands how an aid works. Nobody understands the impact of not having one, or if it's not fully functional. Like hearing aids, you can't see them, but if they're not working properly, it's going to irritate the child.
Yeah.
So, it's really, it frustrates me that I think not enough respect is given to the bits that we can't see.
Intergenerational trauma.
Yes.
Again, that is something that all three of us definitely have experienced and have had to put in a lot of work within ourselves to get to where we are today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I talk all the time about my trauma therapy. I'm a huge ambassador for trauma therapy. And I think that being neurodivergent, CBT and things like that are not going to work for people like me.
CBT does not work for me either.
And it brings about a lot of shame, because it's all the onus is on you. You've caused it, and you have to fix it. Now, I always say my trauma belongs to me. It doesn't belong to anyone else. It shouldn't be impacting anyone else. It naturally does, because trauma impacts the way we make every decision. However, it comes a point, and I'm just talking from my own personal experience, where I've said, hang on a minute, this is really impacting those around me. I have to take responsibility for where that trauma stops. And I call it catching the trauma hot potato. So you can see it coming down through generations, okay?
Yeah.
We're post-war grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We've seen this trauma being passed down in different ways. And we've seen huge generational shifts, where women were very different 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And we are this generation who have made big strides in terms of changes. We are insisting that men are different now, because we are stepping up and we're doing more work. Therefore, things at home have to be different. There's loads and loads of changes, right? And we've had it. I think our generation's had it quite tough. But anyway, we've caught this trauma. Well, I know that I have caught my trauma potato and said, no. There's some bits about my past that I will accept. Some bits and I can roll out and I'm happy with. Some that I will adapt. So some that I will adopt, some that I will adapt, and some that I will scrap. Because there's some bits I don't want my kids experiencing. And I think one of the things, if we're talking about school avoidance and intergenerational trauma, I had obviously my trauma in school. Didn't quite appreciate how much that impacted me, and all the bullying that I had, and the constant say this in a Welsh accent, say that in a Welsh accent. It really, really upset me, because I couldn't function without people pointing out that I was different. And it really, really affected me. And I didn't pay it any attention. In sixth form, I was also, this is really random, coming out of sixth form, going home for the day. I wasn't very well. And this van of men tried to bundle me into the back of a van. And it was really scary. And we had to do the whole police thing and witness statement and everything else. Anyway, all of that added up to this very traumatic school experience, right? I then sent my eldest daughter to the same school. First sign of trouble, and I'm seeing school avoidance in her, and I'm like, nope, come home. I know how that feels. Let's just give up right now. Let's sort it. And when I look back, I thought to myself, can I hand on heart genuinely say that my trauma did not impact her and my decisions on her education right there and then. Could I have done more to develop her resilience? I don't know is the answer, but I
Yeah.
think it's very important that I hold that mirror up and say, I think my trauma played a part here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I could have been a better parent.
Looking for expert guidance in the world of special educational needs and disabilities? Send. Sunshine Academy is your one-stop solution. Gain access to a wealth of knowledge through webinars covering topics like autism and dyslexia, along with tailored learning resources, all for just $10.99 a month. Empower yourself today with Sunshine Academy and take the first step towards a brighter future.
So knowing that I had a 9-year age gap between my first two, I had quite a bit of time to get onto this topic on my trauma therapy and wipe the slate clean so it wasn't affecting my second one. My second one is now coming to the end of year 7. She's had the best year of education. And I must say, I will sit there and say, I've had a part to play in that.
Yeah.
I wiped the slate clean. I dealt with my trauma. It was bloody painful, but I sat up and I took control of that. I took ownership of that. I cannot, you can't move through life constantly blaming everything and everyone around you. There comes a time where you have to go, let's get that mirror out. Let's look at me and the impact on, my parenting.
It's really difficult to do that, though. Not to downplay it at all. That holding the mirror up, which I have to do quite often, it is painful, and it can affect you and your mood for weeks after you've made the decision to look into something. It's not an easy journey, but it is a really important one.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting as well because it slightly touches back into our last subject. But as I said, I was also a school avoider, but never actually told my younger daughter that school avoids that I was a school avoider. And we were walking home from school one day, and my mum was walking with us and said, "Oh, how did you go in? How was your day?" They was having a bit of a chat, and my mum said, "Yeah, because I used to do this. I didn't want to go to school." And I was like, "Whoa, you never told me this." And she was like, yeah, I had to have the doctor out because I told them I felt sick every day. And the doctor came and checked me and said, "No, I've squeezed your belly. You're absolutely fine. You're pretending. You need to go to school."
Oh.
So it really has dripped down all of us. And then I did go, oh my gosh, this really has gone to each generation, and it has impacted my daughter. And you do sit there and think, what can I do to stop this? Because I know that for me, I actually remember the first time a school avoided was a nursery day. I actually remember being 3 and my mum putting me in nursery, and they said to me, "Do a penguin picture and mummy come back." And I cried at the door until they rang my mum.
Oh.
That was my first school avoidance, and it carried on. It went all the way through primary school. Secondary school was the pinnacle of it, because that was when I kind of took the moments to put a lot of makeup on, wipe it off in the mirror, say I was really sick. I was always a very pale girl. I was always very thin. So it was very easy to convince them I was ill.
Yeah.
So I missed a lot. There was times when, we had attendance and we had to sit with the attendance woman, and she had to go through different implements of my health and everything like that, and why I wasn't in school. And it was all a bit much. But it's trying to work out how I catch it now. And I think, like you say, it's holding that mirror up and working out those next steps. It's not easy at all.
No.
Especially when part of it has been bullying.
Yes. And you've got no control over that.
No.
You've got no control. And teaching your kids about that circle of control.
Yeah.
I created an infographic that will be on our social media over the summer. And it's all about the circle of control. And I've given it to each of my kids, and we've gone through it, and I've worked. And I think it's very, very important. Like you said, your mum didn't discuss that with you.
No.
So we didn't validate your experience.
No.
One of the best things we can do as parents in terms of therapeutic parenting, we don't need somebody with fancy qualifications to provide therapy for our kids. We can do so much of the good stuff ourselves because we have the connection. We can say to them, "This happened to me.
Yeah.
I remember how that feels. Shall we explore it? Let's not brush it under the carpet.
Yeah.
Let's not invalidate them and shame them. Let's face it head on and say, this is bloody tough. this is really, really hard. And I remember it well. And how I overcame it was, or didn't, or whatever. But I want to help you to overcome it.
Yeah.
Being a working mum.
So then moving on to the next part, being a working mum. I know we're all going to have a little bit of a giggle at this because we love it, don't we? We really do. But some days, my gosh, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to entertain getting anyone breakfast or fed. I definitely don't want to open up the laptop. It's only because Sunshine's such a beautiful place to work. I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe I will.
I don't think we absorb it though. I mean, you do all the inquiry calls, and that's a really tough job to do.
Yeah.
You know, you've got such, you feel everything. You get it. You understand what that parent's talking about when they're speaking to you. But how do you switch off so that you can function? Or do you? Do you even switch it off? I don't even know.
I don't know. Well, as we know, I'm such a person who feels emotions as well. So I've got that whole thing going. But I think I roll, I talk, you know what I'm like. I move around, I have a call, it's hard. I come off, I'm like, oh, I feel really cross for that person and I really feel for them, and I have a roll around the office, I have a little chat, I go and get them some more advice if I can. You know, I feel like I try and empower them, and that gives me that thing where I'm not holding on to it, because I feel like if I can give someone like a torch, like once I rang somebody and they said to me at the end of the phone call, do you know what? I was feeling a really dark place this morning and you've been like an angel at the end of a tunnel. And I could have cried. At the statement. Like, that's one of the things that would have made me cry. And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm just pleased to have helped. And she was like, it's just nice to find someone that can just talk to. And sometimes that's all we need. Sometimes I come in and that's what I need.
Yeah.
Sometimes I come in and I'm like, hear about my day or my night. And I give it all to you.
That's good. I think it's nice when you're in a place where it feels safe. I mean, I've worked in so many places where, I remember this one place I absolutely loved my actual job, but my boss took me to one side. I was a single mum at the time, and she said to me, "You're a single mum in a high stress job. It's not an equation that works." And she said, "Are you sure that you're able to do this?" Now, bearing in mind, there was no problem about my performance. I don't actually know what it was being. I was there on time. I was hugely stressed, but she wouldn't have seen that. But I remember having to get my little toddler to nursery at 7:30, to be in work by about 8:10. And I worked in the city centre. You couldn't take the car in back then because there was no parking other than very expensive parking. So I try and take a bus. Then I would have to take a taxi. It was an absolute nightmare. But I was always there on time. I finished on time. I would then go and pick my child up. I was out of the house for like 12 hours a day. Then I had to function. And you've got nobody to back you up at home, And I think it's really blooming hard. But I think what I have done is I've looked at those experiences and gone, how not to do it.
Yeah.
I don't ever want anybody to feel like when they come into Sunshine that they are like that. Like it's constantly up against the clock. So I just personally think, I appreciate there are lots of jobs where you need bums on seats, like retail. You need somebody to open up. You need somebody to work the checkouts. I get that. But in our sort of industry, as you know, we just say, you're contracted to X amount of hours. Do them when it fits in with your life. Your family should always come first.
Yeah.
The job should never be first. And I think business owners and managers are really arrogant and so not in touch with reality if they genuinely think a job comes first. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The family should always come first.
Yeah.
And I think working at an organisation like Sunshine, which is all about families anyway, it would be such a contradiction to say, oh, I know that we are saying like families first, children first, when we're making decisions in the organisation, we always go, the child needs to come first. But in this scenario, the bottom line, the profit margins cover, like it's nonsense. Like it's got to be family first.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason it works.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've had those jobs where I've been sat down and actually said, the position you're in, your children should be second. The job is first. And I've been told that and sat there and I was like, wow. But I walked away that day and, you know, I'm very anxious and a people pleaser, as you know, but I walked away and thought, that's my time to call it a day because that's wrong. And it's never, ever something that I have to even deal with here. It never would be because we're like our own little family in this team, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
And, you know, we just get it. So I don't have that issue. In fact, if anything, I feel more comfortable coming in and saying this happened and us having a chat about it. And, you know, if at the end of the day, sometimes you'll say to me, look, if you need a minute, have a minute. If you need to have a day, have a day. And that's really important. Like being somewhere where people get you.
Well, I suppose it's a full circle from the school avoidance.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're not expecting. We're preaching here about school avoidance. But actually, we actually are practicing what we preach.
Yeah.
Looking for expert guidance in the world of special educational needs and disabilities? Send. Sunshine Academy is your one-stop solution. Gain access to a wealth of knowledge through webinars covering topics like autism and dyslexia, along with tailored learning resources, all for just $10.99 a month. Empower yourself today with Sunshine Academy and take the first step towards a brighter future.
No, I think that we've made huge strides forward as working parents, our generation, working mums. Still lots of work to do. There's lots of men who are, I feel very, very lucky that I have a man whose mum was the powerhouse of career woman. So my husband was raised by a set of parents who did things differently and they were very 50-50.
Yep.
So to him, it's not alien. He does the washing. I don't have very good executive function. So he does the washing, he sorts out all of that. And he does a lot of the food prep and he does a lot of the school runs. I don't have to ask. It's all there. But I think we do take a bigger mental load naturally because we're organisers as women.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it is tough. But what I'm really keen to do, and it's the same with sort of managing, I've got like an emerging teenager and two that are coming up not long, they won't be long before they're teenagers. And one of the things that I want to embrace is, as well as saying, yeah, do you know what, girls, it is tough being a woman in a world where we weren't invited before and now we're breaking these glass ceilings and that's great. But also one of the things that I want to sort of throw in there, because I think it does cover all the topics that we've got, is this sort of dread about teenage years. I think we need to remove it.
Yeah.
I'm not benefiting from this whole, oh, we've got a teenager. Oh, don't envy you. Why? And one of my kids, my 12-year-old said to me, why do people hate teenagers so much? I said, I don't know. But you know what? I know parenting a teenager is hard. I know I've done it before.
Yeah.
Hard. However, every experience is a new one. I don't know what I'm doing either. So shall we just bumble on through together and we'll sit and cry together and we'll sit and laugh together and we'll just do it together. So we're feeling a bit safer. And I think that's the same in work. It's the same with the school avoidance. It's the same with the mental health and intergenerational trauma.
Yeah.
It's about saying it's okay. We are together. You're not on your own.
Yeah.
I'm here alongside you.
The other thing is, we've all been a teenager.
Yeah.
So you can understand, you know what that feels like. Really, it's holding that mirror up again and going, actually, I've been here. What can we do? Let's have a chat. Let's have a really honest chat about being a teenager, because I've not made every decision right in my life.
No.
Some of them have been really bad, but that's okay.
I was quite naughty, I think.
Yeah.
I was naughty, but never got caught. I won't tell my kids that.
Let's hope they don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, no.
But it's the one thing that being a teenager, we've all done it. Every parent has done being a teenager. So there's no need for such anxiety around it, really, when we think of it, because we've been there.
Of course we have. It wasn't that long ago either, was it, really?
No.
Last week, it's fine.
Today.
Oh.
On that note, ladies, I will let you get back into the wonderful world of work, and we shall probably see you again soon.
It was an absolute blast. Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for joining us today. If you did so via any of our short version formats, you can find the longer edit on our Sunshine Academy. These last 6 months have been so much fun for me, and I hope you've enjoyed watching. Don't forget, if you have a topic you'd want us to discuss, drop us a message. And we're also here to support you if you need us. You can find us on social media, just search for Sunshine Support. Or head over to our website, www.sunshine-support.org. Once again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon.